Alrighty, it is Monday, which means we've got a base kingdom with one other expansion. In this case, we've got Alchemy. Let's take a look. So for draw, there's Scrying Pool and Council Room. Only village is Throne Room. Very roomy kingdom. Crashing is Chapel. Only plus buy is Council Room. You have some restricted gainers. Bandit can gain gold. Workshop gains cheap stuff. But if you want to score more than a province per turn, it seems like you got to play with Council Room. I find Council Room as only plus buy to make for some very awkward kingdoms sometimes, especially with Chapel around. Because if you get in, and then you go to add Council Room for additional gains, you end up drawing way more than you need to, and then you're often just playing Council Room for plus one buy, plus zero cards, and that's worse than a Ruined Market, because you're also drawing your opponent a card each time you do that, which is a pretty terrible exchange. And then the way you'd often play around that is if you anticipate using Council Room for plus buy, you just deprioritize thinning and then draw through your junk with all the excess draw that you've got. But in this case, that means not playing with the best card in the kingdom, which is Chapel. Definitely a top tier trasher. Also, this kingdom's a little bit rickety, but there's nothing that give you start of turn reliability really. And you need to find not just a village in a council room, but for throne room to work effectively as a village, you either got to find two thrones in a council room, play throne, council room, something, or find throne room, harbinger, council room. You throw in the harbinger, then play the council room to kick things off. So you're looking for three cards in your starting hand. I think you've done pretty often. So you could then aggressively with Chapel, maybe throw in Bandit a bunch of times and add golds, and then start adding council rooms. I think maybe you forget council room entirely and just play with like Workshop Vineyard. That actually sounds a lot better, I think. You only really need the one buy per turn, at least for a while. Like you use Workshop to gain all your thrones and harbingers and stuff, and then you buy a scrying pool each turn, and then at some point you pivot from buying scrying pool to buying vineyard. Maybe late in the game you can add a council room so you can pick up vineyards two at a time. That just seems like a much more straightforward game plan to me than anything involving council room and bandit and such. So I'm going to do that. Two is definitely chapel. Uh, so this could be potion or workshop. I guess harbinger. You want to be conservative and avoid collision with the chapel. I think potion is definitely just better than workshop in the opening. I mean, I care about workshop for gaining a bunch of action cards, but that's really just for padding the deck with things that scrying pool and vineyard care about. There's nothing I desperately need off the workshop. So potion definitely seems better than workshop. So I think it's either chapel potion or chapel harbinger. Chapel harbinger just maximizes the chance that you find chapel and trash 4 cards. Potion has a much bigger upside if you manage to draw it in the non-chapel hand, and I think that upside is big enough to take the gamble. Looks like it paid off. The downside, of course, is if you line it up with chapel, then you only trash 3 cards, or just by virtue of having an extra stop card in your deck, you might bottom deck your chapel. Trash 4. Do I trash 4 again? No, definitely not, right? Yeah, that would be actually a major mistake. I've only got one more copper down there. And if I had a total of 1 copper and a potion as payload in the deck, I think I'd be a pretty unfortunate camper. Let's take a throne room and a scrying pool. And that's also not really what I wanted to see. I was hoping to line up throne, scrying pool, then play both the workshop and the chapel this turn. No dice. Still can't afford to trash 3 coppers. I need at least 2 coppers left to buy scrying pool. I guess I'll just trash none. Buy a harbinger. What is the bot doing over there? Spot has a council room and a chapel. All right. It is running headlong into contradiction. We'll see if it can square that circle. There's nothing of value that this workshop can gain me for this turn. I can gain a throne room, but there's no value in throne rooming a chapel. I can gain a workshop, but I can't play the workshop and the chapel. So I guess I'll just get another throne. Trash 2. Buy a scrying pool. One deck in my hand. So now, what do I do? Yeah, let's just throne workshop. Gain another throne room and a workshop. Draw all that. Throne workshop. Gain 2 more throne rooms. Maybe a throne room and a harbinger to be safer. Buys a throne room. Okay. One, two, three. Throne room workshop. This should draw all of that. Gain the last 2 thrones. 2 more workshops. And probably time to trash the last 2 coppers and just transition to buying vineyards. Okay, so I have enough actions left to play 2 more workshops. And I guess I'll just get harbingers. Touch 2. Is there anything worth top decking here? I could top deck a cellar, for example. Maybe that makes sense. No, I can't. I was thinking, oh yeah, yes, I can. Um, I think top decking a cellar increases my chance of finding a scrying pool relative to not having a cellar on top. I draw 1, top deck the other one, and then I trash with chapel. The quality of my turn hinges almost entirely on if I find a scrying pool in my starting hand. I only have 2 non-actions in the whole deck, or about to be 2. So if I find a scrying pool, I draw my deck. And then I get 5 chances immediately. Top taking a cellar, I think effectively gives me 8 chances to find a scrying pool. I'm going to search for a throne room. Alright, I found the only 2 stop cards in the whole deck. So this one should just put my whole deck in my hand, with the possible exception of 1 card, depending on what order my discard was in. Okay, do I win this turn? Kind of seems like I win this turn, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just draw all that. Yeah, this should be an easy win. It's a bunch of sellers. Oh no! Oh no, I'm not gonna be. I'm 1 gain short. I can't pile the sellers. How embarrassing, only 3 piles. I hang my head in shame. Uh, okay, yeah, I'm thoroughly convinced that this deck is way better than whatever was happening over here. But what on earth? Bot has like 6 total money. So imagine you throw in your counter and you put your whole deck in your hand. What is the output of this deck? Yeah, I don't know if the bot played it wrong, but I think that there's just a lot of ways for I think this deck to go wrong. I'm entirely convinced that something along this line is correct.